So our today's topic for discussion is a territorial dispute between Japan and Russia, also known as the Northern Territorial Dispute, famously known as the Kuril Island Dispute. The background and the history we are going to look in the further video. The background, the strategic location of the Kuril Islands. The Kuril Islands are present in between the Hokkaido Islands and the Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia. The dispute is regarding the four major islands, Iturup, Kunashiri, Habomai and Sikotan. These four islands are present at the southernmost end of the Russian territory, which is near to the Japan, as Japan has a control over this territory. This dispute began when the Russian troops during the end of the Second World War decided to operate and land on these islands. As we date back into the history, during the 1855 the treaty was signed between the Russia and the Japan. This treaty was known as the Treaty of Shimoda. In this, the Japan was ceded the control of the four southernmost islands. The rest of the island group was in hands of Russia. And later period in 1875, known as the St. Petersburg Treaty. During this treaty, there was a position or the control was ceded by the Russia of the Sakhalin Islands, and Japan was given a territory of Kuril Islands, but this agreement did not happen at its best. Later during the 1945, the Yalta Agreement was signed between the Japan and the Russia, and later it formalized into the Peace Treaty of Japan. The Japan ceded the control over the island, and thereafter in 1951 the San Francisco Peace Treaty was signed. The San Francisco Peace Treaty was in such a way that it did not claim any kind of dominance of Japan over the islands, and any kind of what we can say the recognition of Japan over the island was not recognized during this treaty. And later Japan did not agree to this, and Japan declared its sovereignty over the islands during the San Francisco Treaty of 1951. But Russia denied that they gave a control of Habomai and Shikotan Island to the Japan. At that time it was clear that Russia was not going to take a step back, because the Kuril Islands are the zone of fishery in the world. It is a geostrategic location. Around 3.5 million tons of fishery is extracted every year from that region, and this makes the region very special for both the countries. And during the winter, Russian ports get freeze. Because of that, Russia could not access to the Pacific Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean on the earth, and when they get access of the Pacific Ocean, the Russia can have trade with the Western nations, and this makes Russia dominant over the Kuril Islands. Because of all this domination of Russia, the life of the natives have been disturbed for a very long period of time, almost after the Second World War, and they are living in their habitat. So the rights on that land or the Kuril Islands is totally dependent on the Innu community, as they are the part of that island for a very long period of time. They have faced many kind of natural disaster and the human disaster like the World War II, and the interference of Japan and Russia for their own strategic interest. Because of their own strategic interest, their life has been disrupted for a very long period of time. Now we come to the conclusion of our video. During this we saw the background and the native life of the island, Kuril Islands. All these things come into the conclusion that when these two countries are fighting for their strategic interests are never going to be fulfilled from any kind of a treaty or an agreement, because world is full of selfish people, because the countries are selfish for their resources, self motives, interest. There is a need for a peace agreement, kind of a peace agreement between the natives and these two countries, because the natives are important part of the island. Their decision, their thoughts should be taken into the consideration by these two countries, because the Kurils does not belong to Russia or Japan, and there is requirement for the global peace, because the circum-Pacific belt covers almost the west coast of western nations and also the eastern nations. During this all the militarization, the flora and fauna, all the natural habitat, the beauty of that Kuril Islands should be preserved. That should be taken into the consideration by these two nations, and they should come at the conclusion for the peace talk between the Kuril Islands, Japan and Russia. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next video.